The audience in the Live with Kelly and Mark studio knew they were in for a lively morning when they saw the mats rolled out across the stage. Anytime producers brought out equipment, whether it was kettlebells, hula hoops, or an inexplicably angry-looking goat, Mark Consuelos usually ended up in the middle of some chaotic physical comedy. But today was different. Today's guest was none other than Valentina, the Bullet, Shevchenko, a UFC legend whose kicks had humbled world champions. Kelly Ripa stepped onto the mat in her heels like she was about to host a fashion show rather than a martial arts demo. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, gesturing with a showy flair, "please welcome the woman who could knock Mark's head clean off his shoulders if she wanted to, Valentina Shevchenko." Valentina walked out calm and composed, a soft smile disguising the sheer power she carried in every muscle. The audience erupted as she waved, then turned to Mark, who suddenly looked like a man reconsidering all of his life choices. "Welcome, welcome," Kelly said, hugging Valentina. "We're so excited you're here to teach us some UFC moves and hopefully not send Mark to the ER." Valentina laughed. "Don't worry," she assured with a playful glint in her eyes. "I'll go easy on him." Mark swallowed. "Define easy," he muttered, earning a roar of laughter. The training began. They started with basic footwork. Valentina showed Mark how to stand, how to guard, how to move his feet. For a moment, he felt confident until she asked him to block a slow-motion punch. Slow motion to Valentina apparently meant faster than anything Mark had ever seen in his life. He barely got his hands up before she tapped him on the forehead. The audience burst into applause. Kelly clasped her hands together. "Honey, I think she just knocked a thought out of your head." Mark faked a wobble. "I think she knocked a few out." But the real moment of the morning came when Valentina demonstrated how to use leverage in a grappling move. She stood behind Mark, wrapped an arm around his waist, and flipped him onto the mat with the ease of someone tossing a pillow onto a couch. The crowd gasped. Kelly gasped. Mark lay flat on the mat, staring at the lights like he was reviewing his entire life trajectory. "Are you alive?" Kelly called. Mark lifted one finger. "Barely." Valentina helped him up, but she was grinning. "You did good." Mark brushed off imaginary dust. "I did spectacular. I'm pretty sure the mat broke my fall out of pure sympathy." The joke that broke the internet. Once they all returned to the desk, Mark took a sip of water like he'd just crossed a desert. Kelly leaned over. "You okay, champ?" He nodded dramatically. "Honestly, that was like the most action I've had in weeks." The audience howled. Kelly's jaw dropped. She smacked his arm. "Mark!" Valentina laughed, so hard she nearly bent over the table. Mark held up his hands. "I'm just stating facts. I got flipped. I got pinned. I got choked. That was practically date night compared to my usual routine." Kelly fanned herself. "I apologize to everyone at home, truly." But Mark kept going. "I mean, if this is what training with a UFC superstar is like, sign me up. I'll come back every week. Throw me around like a rag doll. Apparently it's the highlight of my month." Valentina, wiping tears of laughter, chimed in. "Anytime, Mark, anytime." The moment instantly went viral. Clips circulated across social media with captions like, "Mark Consuelos thirsting after a UFC beatdown is not what I had on my 2025 bingo card." Kelly's face when Mark said action is priceless. Valentina Shevchenko is now America's new morning show husband. Behind the SCNES, the aftermath. Once the show cut to commercial, Kelly leaned over and whispered, "I cannot believe you said that." Mark shrugged. It was honest. And embarrassing. But honest. Valentina folded her arms with a smirk. "You want one more throw before I go?" Kelly perked up. "Yes, please. Maybe it will shake some sense into him." Mark jumped up immediately. No, 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 absolutely not. I've used up my daily allowance of physical abuse." Kelly raised an eyebrow. "I thought it was the most action you've had in weeks." Mark paused. "Okay, not that much action." Valentina laughed again. "Don't worry, Kelly. I promise I won't steal your husband. Too much maintenance. Kelly pointed at her. See, she gets it. The show's producers weigh in. Later that afternoon, the producers huddled together reviewing replay footage. They loved chaos, controlled chaos, ideally, but this was a new level. Mark is a goldmine, one producer said. You can't write moments like that. Another nodded. Do you think we can book Valentina weekly? A third producer, already drafting an email, muttered, I'm on it. In the corner, a writer sighed. We're never gonna top this, ever. The viewers, RECTONS. Fans online couldn't get enough. Mark practically flirting with a UFC fighter, while Kelly looks like she's about to file paperwork. This is why morning TV is elite entertainment. Valentina needs her own recurring segment. Throw Mark around Thursdays. One user wrote, Kelly is all of us watching our husband get effortlessly suplexed. Even UFC fans chimed in, joking that Mark should appear as Valentina's emotional support host during her next fight camp. The following morning, the next day on Live, Kelly addressed the moment head-on. Well, we're back, she began, and apparently so is Mark's ego. Mark raised a hand. I would like to clarify that I am, in fact, still sore. Kelly patted his back. Oh, poor baby got too much action. He groaned. I walked right into that. You did, Kelly said sweetly, just like you walked into Valentina's takedown. Mark shook his head with a smile. Worth it. The end, and maybe just the beginning. By the time the week wrapped, the action joke had become so iconic that fans demanded merch. Someone even suggested a limited edition t-shirt featuring a cartoon Mark flying through the air with Valentina standing proudly over him. And Mark, he leaned fully into it. Because if there was one thing he knew for certain now, it was this. There were worse ways to spend a Wednesday than being tossed around by a world-renowned fighter, especially when it gave everyone a good laugh and a moment of unforgettable morning TV magic.